And then the other thing I was shown were the people that were affected by my death. So I saw all the family members, people at my funeral, the friends who were talking about it. In particular, I remember my mother coming into her apartment, which is where I was dead on the couch. And she came into the apartment. My face was all discolored with a little bit of pus running out of my mouth. And she came into the apartment and saw me there and ran over and started saying, my baby, my baby, my baby. Oh no. Oh no, 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 my baby, my baby. And just started screaming. And that's when I really started to kind of panic. And it was like, this can't be happening. And then after that, everything changed. I'm back in the room, looking down at myself again. And then I hear a voice that says, now your life is over and you wasted it. And that was like a kick in the stomach. It was just devastating. And I begged, please don't let me die. I can't die. I will do whatever is necessary to overcome this addiction. Send me back. Please, God, send me back. I can't die. And then just like that, I'm back in my body, gasping for breath.
Hello, Brandon,
Hello.
and thank you very much for being a guest on About Freedom Show. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
If you don't mind, I would like to start with your NDE experience, or if you'd like to go a little bit of backstory, that would be nice too. Whatever you feel comfortable.
Okay, so I actually had a heroin overdose back in 2014, and a little bit of backstory. I was sexually molested when I was 8 years old, and I think that kind of set me up for a lot of turbulence, you might say, throughout my childhood and adolescence. Sexually molested at 8 years old, went to school and was bullied horrendously by the kids there. And I was diagnosed with sacroiliac spondylitis and Crohn's disease when I was 14. And then I was put on opiate painkiller medication at the same age, 14 years old, and ended up getting really dependent on the substance. And I found out, that it didn't just treat my physical pain. For those of you who don't know, sacroiliac spondylitis is arthritis of the spine, and Crohn's disease is basically arthritis of the intestines. So the opiates were prescribed to treat my pain, but they not only treated my pain, my physical pain, but also my emotional pain. All growing up through those years at age 14 and beyond, I became totally dependent on these opiate substances to feel comfortable, not
Mhm.
just pain wise, but also emotionally. It helped me feel like I could, be comfortable in my own skin, helped my anxiety, my depression. But I was in a vicious cycle of taking too much of the medication and then running out, and I'd have to find more. So I'd be going to withdrawals and then have to get more of the medication to feel better. And that went on for years and years and years. When I was 21, I was in a really bad fist fight and almost died. So that was really my first NDE. But during that NDE, I had no experience. It was just blackness, like nothingness, the absence of anything and everything.
Now,
Yeah,
I may interrupt you for a second. Do you remember that blackness? How do you know it was blackness?
exactly. Yeah, my consciousness was still there apparently because I do remember the blackness. It was like just a total void. But how often do we really experience nothing? So it's kind of hard to put into words, but it was just total blackout. And the result of that was, the next day I went to the doctor and he said, hey, if that guy had put 3 more pounds of pressure behind that kick to your face, he kicked me in the face wearing steel toed boots. If he had put 3 more pounds of pressure, his foot would have gone directly into your brain and you would be no longer, you'd be dead. So at that point, I believe I was 21 years old and I started questioning everything, my identity. I started going on this crusade of studying as much as I could get my hands on about spirituality, philosophy, self-development, that sort of thing. And I really started
So,
questioning my identity.
so why this first incident triggered the desire for spirituality in you right away? What do you think?
Um, I think it's like Martin Heidegger, a German philosopher, said that I realized the possibility of my own non-existence, which caused me to turn inward, to ask some deep, profound questions. I realized that life is finite, that there was the possibility that I could die tomorrow. That's when I really kind of opened my eyes to looking at things in a different way and to questioning who I was. Because up to that point, I forgot to mention, I dropped out of school in the 9th grade. I hated school. I believed I was stupid and I wasn't going anywhere. I had these limiting beliefs about myself. I wasn't attractive. I wasn't a good person, all these different beliefs. And I started looking at those beliefs after I was in that fight. And when I was researching all of the spiritual topics and the self-development, I realized I had a passion for learning, which kind of blew my mind because I thought I hated learning and I thought I was stupid. But I confronted those negative beliefs about myself at that time. Ended up going back to school, got a GED. Then I went into another program, went to a college, got an associate's degree in liberal arts at a community college. And then I enrolled in a program called Exploring Transfer, which basically I took 2 classes at Vassar College in New York. And during a 6-week summer program, 2 full Vassar courses, and I aced both classes. So that's not bad for, a high school dropout who's stupid. I mean, so I proved that it was an incorrect belief about myself, right? And yet I held it as if it was the truth. But what people didn't know, so I went back to school and I went to this 6-week program, aced both classes, and then won a full scholarship to go to Vassar, where I got a 4-year philosophy degree. But what people didn't know is that I was still addicted to these opiate substances during that whole journey. And I was pretty good at hiding it. And after graduation, I'm in my mom's apartment. And at Vassar, by the way, I had been, addicted to prescribed opiate painkillers. But at Vassar, one day I was at a party and I was in withdrawals and someone gave me some heroin. And that's how I was introduced to it. And then after graduation, that's all said and done. Now I'm in my mom's apartment. I'm in withdrawals and the agitation is just overwhelming, right? Sweating, like looking at the clock. I'm waiting for a guy to get there to bring me some stuff. And the anxiety is just screaming in my mind. The uncomfortability, moving around in my chair. Time seems to be going so slow. I'm waiting for this guy to show up. Finally, he gets there. He brings me the stuff and I do some. He leaves. And it's like, finally, the nightmare is over. Finally, I can relax. And it's like steam rolling off a lake in summertime. The stress just is relieved and I'm feeling good and I can collect myself and think clearly. But that feeling was replaced by anxiety when I realized that I was passing away.
So you realized that? How did you realize that?
Well, I just had this feeling time that something wasn't right. And then the next thing I know, I'm standing next to my body looking at myself.
So you were standing next to your body. How far from your body?
Oh, right next to it, maybe a foot, looking
So
down.
you're looking at yourself and you're recognizing your body. What are your thoughts at this moment? I'm alive? What I am? What's going on here?
Well, oddly enough, I was wondering what the point of my life had been.
Okay.
And I was looking at my body, my dead body, and thinking to myself, what was the point of my life? I'd gone through this trauma. I was sexually molested, bullied in school, dropped out in the 9th grade, was in a fist fight, went back to school. discovered a passion, won a scholarship, and now I'm dead. So what was the point of all of it?
And how old you were?
I think I was about 32 years old.
So you've been struggling all your life at this point. You've been sexually molested. You've been bullied as a kid. You've been struggling through college, get your GED, get your diploma, and everything. And then suddenly you're gone.
Mhm.
You didn't even have any joy in your life at this point, right? What?
Right. Yeah. And it wasn't easy, being at Vassar, a
Yeah.
high school dropout, someone who wasn't groomed to be at an Ivy League institution. So I had to really work hard. And what was the point of all of it? There wasn't much joy. So I'm thinking that to myself. I'm wondering what was the point? And then I became aware of a presence standing there in the room, or in the room, I should say. I didn't see anything, no physical like person or a spirit or a mist, nothing like that. It was just I became aware of a presence.
I mean, can you describe this awareness? How do you feel the presence? What it feels like?
It felt like somebody was watching me as I'm looking at the dead body. It felt like there was somebody staring at me. And when this happened, I sensed that same feeling. And I, looked around, there's nothing there. But then all of a sudden, I was transported into another reality. It was just instantaneous, almost like I was in a holodeck from Star Trek.
What is yeah, okay. I'm not a fan, Star Trek fan, so I didn't know. So what is holodeck?
I'm kind of a geek in that way. I'm a
Okay,
Star Trek fan, but the holodeck is it's a piece of technology in this futuristic world, and it can
okay,
create. It's a hologram,
I
but
got
it's
you.
3D. It looks absolutely real. It feels real, and even the holograms, you can interact with them, but you can create any reality that you want, any person that you want. And it'll just
I
transport you
got you. Hmm.
there. So that's what it was like, and I was shown a couple things. I was shown the, a future reality where that I wouldn't experience because I'm dead.
Okay, yeah,
And I was shown all of these people, friends that I could have made or would have made, and people that all of these people, hundreds of people that I was there to help and assist in different ways. And I was shown the joy of that. But then it was like, okay, you're never going to experience that. And it was just one image after another of the joys of my life that would never happen. And then the other thing I was shown were the people that were affected by my death. So I saw all the family members, people at my funeral, the friends who were talking about it. In particular, I remember my mother coming into her apartment, which is where I was dead on the couch. And she came into the apartment. My face was all discolored with a little bit of pus running out of my mouth. And she came into the apartment and saw me there and ran over and started saying, "My baby, my baby, my baby. Oh no, oh no, 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 my baby," and just started screaming. And that's when I really started to kind of panic. And it was like, this can't be happening. And then after that, everything changed. I'm back in the room looking down at myself again. And then I hear a voice that says, "Now your life is over and you wasted it." And that was like a kick in the stomach. It was just devastating. And I begged, "Please don't let me die. I can't die. I will do whatever is necessary to overcome this addiction. Send me back. Please, God, send me back. I can't die." And then just like that, I'm back in my body, gasping for breath.
I don't have this heroin addiction. I never tried it, never tried any drugs, but I have the caffeine addiction. So I wonder, how did you overcome this addiction? Can I get off caffeine the way you did? You got off heroin?
Maybe. I had to go through like this spiritual refinement process.
Hmm.
So I went through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. So first thing I did when I came back into my body gasping for breath is I called the crisis hotline, and they came out, did an evaluation, and sent me to a detox facility where I was for 7 days.
So you called right away. You just came back to your senses. You called right away.
Yeah.
You didn't call 911. You didn't call emergency. You called the detox facility. Yeah.
Yep. I called a crisis hotline. So it's something that a lot of states have here in the United States where people can call if they're having a hard time.
So
And
it's
then,
like you got this. It's like you got this strong message right away. I gotta get rid of this right away. So this is the first thing you've done.
yeah, yeah. Because I knew, what had happened. Had vivid memory of all this happening. And I knew I had to get help immediately. So got right on the phone, and they came out, asked me some questions, and then sent me to a detox facility.
Was your mom next to you when you came back to your senses?
No, no, I was alone.
So she didn't see you actually on the laying on the floor. You just saw that it might happen if you would died, right?
Right.
Okay, so she
Yeah,
didn't
and it
see you.
wasn't it wasn't like it might happen. It was like it did happen.
Okay, okay. So it was so real that it was like it happened, but you had to see the outcome.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was an alternate reality that I was shown,
But how
or
real was that? It was more real than this
I
realm
wouldn't say more real. I would say as real.
as real.
Yeah,
Did you hear? Did you have any senses like smell and everything else
everything,
of our five
everything.
senses?
It was like I was there. Even the images, that I was shown, the people that I'd never meet, friends that I'd never make, all the joys that I would never experience, all of that was
Mhm.
real. Every time I would see an image, it was like I got this idea that that's not ever going to happen.
So you think there was a life review, or there was just like presumption of a life review? What could have happened if you go to other side?
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of like a life review, a future life review. I've heard people call it.
Okay, future
Um,
life review. Hmm.
yeah, and I don't know if you've ever seen the movie "It's a Wonderful Life."
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of like that, but absolute clarity, and it was as if I was right there. I like to compare it to the holodeck of Star Trek because it was really very vivid, like real life that it was happening.
Did you have a concept of time over there?
There was no concept of time. It was just, it seemed like I was shown so many things in such great detail, but there was no concept of time. And it seemed to be an eternity and yet an instant.
How can you explain this non-time concept? Can you explain it somehow?
Yeah. I've never been asked that question, so it's really great. You know how, like, you live your life and it seems like it takes forever?
It's
If
like
that
when you're
makes
having a very boring job and you got to go from 8 to 5. That takes forever.
right. But then 20 years down the line, you look back and it seems like an instant, kind of like that.
This might be a little bit stupid question, but let me ask you this: how long do you think you've been in that reality? I know you've just been a couple of minutes in this realm time,
Hmm.
but in your mind, how long have you been there?
Jeez.
In
It was
a no time realm?
like a lifetime,
Okay.
um, because of all the detail of all the images just stacked up on top of each other, one thing after another, after another, after another.
So how does those images look like? They were like holograms. They were with sound, with smell, with touch, feeling. They were in 3D and 5D. How they look like those images?
It was 3D, just like we are sitting here right now, except I was observing this self that wouldn't exist, or that this self that could have existed had I not been dead. So I would see myself interacting with all these people, but I'm standing there with the presence, watching it all.
What do you mean with the presence? That presence that you felt next to you, somebody was next to you, something, somebody,
Hmm.
and you felt the present. Was it a loving present? Was it a judging present? What was your feeling?
I don't know. I didn't feel, get any kind of a sense of whether it was beneficent or judgmental or any. There was no thoughts like that. It was simply there. And I believe that it was showing me these things.
Okay, now who do you think was that?
I'm not sure if it was God or spirit, you might call it, or whether or not it was an angel or some kind of a deity. I was never given information on that, and I could only speculate.
Now, after your near-death experience, did you ever felt this same presence next to you in your real life?
I did feel I had a visitation. So I mentioned that I had gone through a spiritual refinement process, and it was the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I went through these steps, and it was like refined me, kind of almost like alchemical, turning base metals into gold. Like I had to confront all this stuff, like resentments, for instance, of the babysitter that molested me, for instance. I had to
Hmm.
confront that and deal with it. Also, my fears and insecurities and people that I had harmed. I went back and corrected the past, so to speak, made amends. But, anyways, I went through this process. And the whole process of Alcoholics Anonymous, going through these steps, is to have a spiritual awakening.
Now, after this experience, are you afraid of death at all?
Not really. The only thing that, I feel like I'm living my purpose now. I didn't want to die before I was able to accomplish certain things, but I do believe that it doesn't end with death. That death is a beginning to another existence. So I'm not afraid of that. The only thing that would be unfortunate is for my 12-month-old son to be without a father and the pain that it might
Um,
cause my loved ones. But other than that, I don't fear it. So it's been a journey, um, but I'm in a much better place now, and it makes you wonder what other people, what's going to happen in other people's lives. People who are watching this video, what are you capable of? I had nothing, and now here I am on a show, and I'm talking with confidence. I like my life. Not that it doesn't have ups and downs, of course it does, but I know how to handle turbulence.
so you acquired this confidence during after your NDE or after you've done your 12-step program?
After the 12-step program.
The NDE just woke you up. You say, I got to do this and I'm going to do it. That's it.
Yeah,
I got to change it. Okay.
it woke me up. It gave me a vision of a possible future
Hmm.
that I could
Hmm.
have because I was given a second chance, and I didn't have to be the dead corpse that my mother found.
Yeah, I heard that concept somewhere about a possible future. I heard that somewhere. I don't remember where. I read somewhere. Now,
It's like an alternate reality.
yeah,
I'm now
that
living
might
in an
happen.
alternate
Yeah,
reality.
yeah, because there are several realities for each life. It depends on the choices you make. Let's say if you made a choice to continue doing heroin, you would have one reality. You would probably pass away a week later or so, overdosing. There's a reality where you get yourself, go to these 12 steps, you're working yourself, you're achieving this status right now. Or there's another reality where you may, there's many, many realities who make a choice and we manifest that reality.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we have this capacity to have spiritual experiences. I believe that it's evolutionary, that we've been like the shamans of old, the wizards and things that have always existed. We have these abilities that are hardwired into us somehow. And like I was shown what I needed to see in order to go from this one reality into another. But now all of us are living in this alternate reality. If I had died, that would have been the reality and the world would go on. But I didn't die. And now we're in this new reality where I exist, which changes all of reality. And imagine how many times this kind of thing is happening. We're constantly being corrected and put into a better place somehow.
Yeah, that's a very good example you brought with that movie. It's a Wonderful Life, right? It's called.
Yep.
It's exactly, he was shown a different reality. Let's say if he was doing this is what happened with his family, with his friends. If he was doing this is what happened. Probably the director or the writer of that movie had an NDE and experienced something. But back then, that was in the 50s, I believe, that movie. I don't remember. It was an old film. They didn't talk about this. But let me ask you about your future reality that you've seen. Anything you experiencing right now, have you seen in that vision for a future reality?
Yes. Yeah.
How?
Like,
What is the percentage?
well, 100%. Except I can't remember in vivid detail the reality that I was shown. When I was experiencing it, it was in vivid detail. And directly after it happened, it was in vivid detail. But it's faded. And I know though that I'm experiencing it because I'm helping people. I've overcome so much that was in the way of me living a better life, and I'm experiencing the fullness of life now. And that's how I know that I'm on the path and that I'm experiencing it.
You see, you've seen that your reality in your vision, and you manifested that reality that you've seen. So that is proving that our minds are capable of building our reality. If you focus, this, you are an example of that. You just woke up. That was your awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, this is what I'm going to build. This is what I've seen in my vision. This looks great. And I'm going to change it. I'm going to do it. This is what I'm going to do. And you create it and you live in that reality.
And also the assistance from a higher power. To follow up on your question before, I think you asked me if I knew what the presence was. And then you said something like, did I experience it any other time? So after working the 12 steps, it says in the book, the AA book, Alcoholics Anonymous, that the purpose of the 12 steps is to have a spiritual awakening. But if you read the book, Bill Wilson, the creator of Alcoholics Anonymous, had a white light spiritual experience, they call it,
Mm-hmm.
where he had a visitation, a light came to him. But anyways, in the back of the book, it also talks about, in the appendix, about spiritual experiences. So one day I was in the shower, I was having a hard time. This was after I worked the steps. And I had prayed that I need help, I need guidance. And I felt a presence when I was taking a shower, a presence, and I didn't see anything again, no physical sight of this, whatever this was. But I felt a presence come through the ceiling, and it felt like a blinding light, although I didn't see physical light, but it was like a heat almost, overwhelming. And then I felt this tremendous sense of acceptance. I started having all these thoughts like, I'm not worthy to have this happen. It felt like such a powerful presence, an overwhelming presence, and I was bathed in it, and it penetrated me. And I started having all these feelings and thoughts about things that I had done in my past. I'm not worthy for this to happen. And whatever this entity was, this presence, could care less about any of those thoughts. It didn't judge me whatsoever. And it just penetrated me with its love and acceptance. And it was like just this breath of fresh air. Like, oh, that feels good. That I'm not being judged by this thing. It doesn't care, and it's compassionate and it loves me. That helped me get through and to keep going. But I'm thinking that maybe that presence that came through the ceiling was the same presence that was there through with that near-death experience.
It might be your guardian angel. It might be your guide. I'm just speculating here. You
Same
probably
here.
know better. Now, did you acquire any special abilities when you came back, like psychic abilities or better intuition,
I think my intuition's definitely been enhanced. Not only that, I have kind of foresight. I don't know what you'd call it. Like, for some reason, I'll just give you for instance. For some reason, before COVID hit, I didn't know anything about that COVID was going to happen. And yet I bought this alarm from Goodwill, and you crank it like this and it goes wham, wham, wham. And I started cranking that, and I was saying emergency, emergency, there's an emergency happening, emergency. And then within
Why
the
was
next couple days, COVID hit. I linked that with, wow, like I was ringing the bell, like sounding the alarm, and there was no possible way that I could have known that there was going to be a state of emergency. Also, like visitations from, like, I don't know if you call them ghosts or spirits. I see things sometimes. I receive communication, just things pop into my mind, and in retrospect, I understand why. And
wow?
I can tell things about people. I can talk to people in a non-judgmental way.
What do you feel about people? Can you see their vibrations? Can you see their dark side or good side? How do you,
More like, I speak to them with a total lack of judgment.
even if you tell them something negative about them, but you say it lovingly without judgment, they can accept that easily. There is no judgment, no confrontation. It's just the truth.
Yeah, and I'm able to be there without the bondage of myself, if that makes sense. I'm able to be present 100% for them, not for me. I'm able to sit with them, to listen, to hear, and to speak. But it's more them speaking. But I'm able to draw things out, and to create more healing.
Yeah, this is what I was going to ask you about your coaching program, by the way, here. I see you have a company called Gathered Minds Media, LLC,
Yeah,
and you work as a coach. Can you describe that?
yeah. I'm a certified spiritual coach and a business consultant, and I work with heart-centered individuals, working on anything from forgiveness to getting your voice out there, um, creating your personal message, like your story, and speaking that with confidence, starting a business. But the common denominator is they're heart-centered spiritual people that I work with. I'm pretty selective. They have to be like genuine,
Yeah.
good people who want to do the right thing by others and make a positive difference in the world.
So that's like a
Yeah, similar.
spiritual advisor for businesses, I would say so, right?
Yeah,
Because a business can be spiritual as well, even though it's only making money or it's making toys or phones or whatever. It gotta have a spirit in it anyway, right? It gotta make everything has to be made with love.
yes, yes. And there's different gifts that people have
Right.
that they can, and passions, and transforming that passion into a career or a
Right.
business where you can make a living, and then you can really do what you love, making money. That's the dream, right?
So you're basically helping them find their purpose in life.
Find their purpose, but also overcome the challenges that get in the way of us fulfilling our purpose to the best of our ability.
Now, did you discover your purpose in life after coming back from this experience?
Yep. And that's probably the cornerstone of how I've been able to turn my life around. And the purpose is to be there to make a difference in the lives of others.
This is what you're doing right now, actually.
Correct. That's
Wow.
how, like, people have been able to. Have you ever heard of Dr. Viktor Frankl? So for those of you who don't know, he's a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote a book, multiple books, but he developed something called logotherapy. And what is logo? So for him, that word can mean a lot of different things, but for him, it's meaning therapy, logotherapy. So if you have a strong enough purpose and vision, you're here for a reason, and it's strong enough you can get through just about anything.
I want to come back a little bit to your example with the COVID. When you sensed the COVID is coming, you said, danger, danger.
Hmm.
You know, back in 1988, that was a long time. I'm an old guy. I was in Soviet Union, and there was a big earthquake in Armenia in 1988 in the city called Leninakan. Almost wiped that city out of
Wow.
face of the earth. Hundreds of thousands of people passed away. It's a huge earthquake. And in the morning of that day, or the day before that, I remember as right now, I was sitting in a chair and I was saying to myself, catastrophe, catastrophe. You know what catastrophe? I'm saying right, catastrophe,
Yep.
catastrophe. I don't know why. I was like a mantra, catastrophe. And then I see that on TV happening, which Armenia from Moldavia, where I live, is like 4,000 or 5,000 miles. It's far away, you know, but I kind of sensed it too.
That's amazing. How is it even possible? You know,
I have no idea, but I'm
some
telling you, I
people
was
say
just
that
sitting.
we exist in the past, present, and future all at the same time. Maybe that's how we were able to pick up on these things.
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
If people want to find more about you and about your work, do you mind sharing that?
Not at all. So my name is Branden Densmore, Branden, and you can find me on Facebook. That's the best way to get a hold of me. You can friend me or shoot me a private message on Facebook. And another way to contact me is Coach Branden Densmore at Gmail. You can shoot me a message. I'd be happy to speak with you. And yeah, we can have a conversation. But I don't work with just anybody. It has to be the right people. I'm not here to help everybody. So if you're a heart-centered spiritual person who would like some assistance in accelerating toward your purpose, living more present and a happy life, just shoot me a message. We can talk about it.
Okay, Brandon, let me ask you a question. What is your definition of freedom?
My definition of freedom, it would be being able to be okay with the positive and the negative that's happening in life, and to move to have an awareness in the present moment of how you're feeling, and to be able to choose that non-judgment, to be able to choose loving thoughts, and not to live on autopilot, just reacting to life.
Okay, and do you have a message for your audience in the conclusion of this podcast?
Just that I've talked a lot about forgiveness, and forgiveness isn't just a one-time deal. It's a way of life, and to become your own best friend instead of your worst enemy. To that we don't need to judge ourselves constantly. We don't have to judge the events that are happening in our lives in such a harsh way, but especially ourselves, to give ourselves a pat on the back and say, hey, you're doing a good job. Look at everything that you've been through, and to practice self-kindness.
Well, thank you very much, Brandon, for this message. And thank you for what you're doing for the world, I would say, for humanity. I would go so far as saying that, because it's a beautiful thing that you're doing with your coaching and with your messages. And this might be your purpose in life. This is why you came back probably to do this. And thank you very much for being a guest on my show.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching About Freedom Show. I really appreciate you. Click on one of the videos below and don't forget to subscribe.